when we learn that the lives lost that day were not lost, but they were taken. We could have chosen to hate, but instead we chose to love.
At 6, SU Remembrance Week is officially underway, but not without incoming changes. What they are, ahead.
Plus, the American Cancer Society held Making Strides, Syracuse's annual charity walk to raise money for breast cancer awareness, and celebrated its 29th anniversary this past weekend.
And the congressman for Syracuse, in his own words, on abortion access, with just 15 days to go until election 2024. News Live at 6 starts right now.
This is CitrusTV News Live at 6, your campus news leader.
This year marks the 36th anniversary of the bombing of Pan Am 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland.
Syracuse honors the 35 SU students that died with a series of events this week.
Welcome to News Live at 6. It's good to be back with you all. I'm Max Williams.
And I'm Jake Morel. Remembrance Week started yesterday with a candlelight vigil. We'll have more on that ceremony coming up in just a little bit, but on Wednesday, a sitting in solidarity event will take place on the quad, and SU chooses 35 seniors as remembrance scholars to honor each life lost. Thursday, the scholars will present their community outreach plans through a symposium as well as a celebration of life event. They'll conclude the week on Friday with a rose-laying ceremony and a convocation for the remembrance scholars.
And coming back to last night's vigil, our Luke Welch was there with scholars' reactions to the emotional night and the possible changes to Remembrance Week as we know it on campus.
A quiet Sunday evening on Syracuse's blue-lit campus for the 36th week of Remembrance. The annual candlelight vigil starts off the honoring of the 270 lives lost on Pan Am Flight 103, including 35 SU students.
We ask you to take a moment to reflect on the humanity lost to senseless acts of violence and to honor victims of terrorism everywhere as we dedicate ourselves to acting forward.
While the case of the bombing of the flight that crashed into Lockerbie, Scotland in 1988 reopens, leaders on campus continue the message of honoring the past while progressing ahead.
When we learn that the lives lost that day were not lost, but they were taken. We could have chosen to hate, but instead we chose to love.
While the tradition of Syracuse students honoring the lives lost on Pan Am Flight 103 continues, the future of the Lockerbie Scholar Program itself that brings students from Scotland to SU is unknown. I reached out to organizers of Remembrance Week about the proposed changes to the exchange program. They emphasized the university's message. After 35 years of this program, they believe it is time to reimagine and expand this program to allow for even more opportunities for Lockerbie students to visit and experience Syracuse University. SU has proposed a new and modern approach to this program, including welcoming 10 to 12 Lockerbie Academy students annually for a one-week immersion experience. But to this year's Lockerbie Scholars, it's an honor that they've been waiting for.
Stepping foot into Lockerbie Academy, our head teacher would always say, like, oh, look at those names on the boards, your name could be up there one day. So it's always been a dream of mine to come here and represent my hometown. They
say the time they get to spend on campus strengthens their connection to home over 3,200 miles away.
The thing that I feel like I've gotten the most out of this is just really feeling very connected to the tragedy and almost becoming more connected with my own emotions, like being here, like connected back home as well. You know, you hear the names, you think of like the children that were at the school that passed away on the ground.
Events like the Candlelight Vigil allow scholars to truly connect to the detailed lives of those affected by the tragedy from almost 4 decades ago.
Organized the name reading, and even doing that, I felt, despite like not knowing any of the victims, I felt a massive responsibility as well tonight, reading the names just to make everyone proud. It's not something I've ever experienced before.
No matter how much time passes or how many people who experienced the devastation firsthand are still around to tell the story, the sun will never set on the legacy of all that was lost on the eve of December 21st, 1988. On Syracuse's campus, Luke Welch, CitrusTV News.
Luke, very powerful. Thank you. Well, Upstate University Hospital's mobile mammography program is offering free breast cancer screenings from now and into the month of November. Upstate staff are using their Mammo Van, which is equipped with a 3D digital mammogram system, a private exam room, dressing rooms, and a waiting room. Women who are at least 40 years old and have not had a mammogram in the past year are eligible for screening.
And speaking of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the American Cancer Society held their 29th annual Making Strides. It's a charity walk to raise money for breast cancer research. Our Olivia Rodriguez has this one.
This weekend, the streets of Syracuse were flooded with pink. In honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, survivors and their supporters have been coming out to different events hosted by the American Cancer Society. But the events are more than just music and colors. For survivors like Marnie Cirillo, it's about community.
We're all here for the same thing. You know, everybody's story is different, everybody's story is unique, but we're all here because of primarily the same.
We're Making Strides, an organization uniting caregivers, survivors, and supporters in the fight against breast cancer, have gathered for their annual Breast Cancer Awareness Walk.
Oh yeah, I've been looking forward to this for months now.
This year's walk brought together over 3,500 people and raised over $200,000 for the ACS. Their goal is to provide support for survivors like Marnie, who were impacted unexpectedly by breast cancer.
Just a month before my wedding, I got the news that I had cancer. No one in my family has cancer. Not a single relative in my entire history has ever had cancer or breast cancer.
In New York alone, over 14,000 women are diagnosed with breast cancer every year. That averages about 865 women in central New York. Robert Alinskas, the Community Development Manager for the ACS, says that the walk is dedicated to those affected by breast cancer.
When I first started working for the Cancer Society, one of my colleagues was diagnosed with breast cancer. She ultimately ended up losing her life to it. So I try to dedicate my efforts every year to her and her memory.
At Making Strides, there was no shortage of love and support. And after 5 years as a cancer survivor, that's what Debbie Green wants people to remember most.
Never take life for granted. Live every day like it's, to its fullest.
Surrounded by a community of support, the message is clear. It is possible to get back up again.
Olivia, thank you. Now to more on cancer awareness in Syracuse. The 1330 organization held a comedy routine called, quote, "Sometimes you just gotta laugh." While cancer is no laughing matter, the organization wanted to provide an opportunity to heal a little with some dark humor. Comedian Valerie Lopez said, quote, "You might feel a little uncomfortable, but that's comedy and that's life." And now moving on to our local weather. It feels like summer again here. I'm not sure how that happened, but I walked outside today and I was kind of already sweating. It was really nice though.
I know. When I first walked outside today, I grabbed pants and then it was so warm out. I went right back inside and put on shorts. It was so nice. I love the warm weather.
Yeah, I kind of hope it sticks around, but I guess we're about to find out with our Isabella Galan. Isabella.
Yeah, today is absolutely beautiful, and it's so great to finally not be reporting on cloudy and gloomy skies because today was absolutely perfection. Right now we're sitting at about 71 degrees with barely any clouds in the sky, and I mean, the sunset behind me was absolutely gorgeous. I've been out here for about 30 minutes and seeing the amount of people walk by, sitting outside, doing some homework, even a nice picnic for dinner, and tons of photographs. It's another beautiful day in Syracuse, and it should be sticking around like that throughout the rest of the week, which I will have for you in a little bit. But looking to tonight as well, we're going to be around 61 degrees, so the temperatures are dropping a little bit. But honestly, with as beautiful of a day that we had today, with no hoodies, no jackets, no umbrellas, I'll take whatever we can get. That's all I got for you guys right now, but I will be back with your 5-day forecast.
I just love that warm weather. All right, well, it's National Transfer Student Week. The National Institute for the Study of Transfer Students have organized events across college campuses to celebrate transfer students. Later this week, there is a social for transfer students in the Shine Student Center. An RSVP is required to attend.
And starting today, application fees for State University of New York and City University of New York schools will be waived. This is a part of Governor Kathy Hochul's efforts to expand access to higher education and make college more affordable. SUNY schools will waive up to 5 application fees per student from now until November 3rd, and CUNY schools will waive application fees through November 15th.
Governor Hochul released a statement last Friday saying, quote, "We're empowering students across the state to take the first step toward achieving their educational and career goals while removing the financial obstacles that may deter students from pursuing higher education."
And now to a local crime update. The Syracuse Police Department has hit a new high of solving homicides at 90%. The average across the nation is between 50 and 55%. Chief Joseph Cecil said, quote, "Once they take ownership of a case, they don't let up." Governor Hochul's gun violence elimination program is also working to curb homicides. It's funded over $700,000 to reduce homicides in the state and specifically Syracuse.
And lawmakers held an assembly at the CNY Regional Farmers Market this Thursday, calling for $100 million in changes to the market. These changes were caused by poor mismanagement of funds. Assembly management, says there was unnecessary renovations and received late quarterly reports. Onondaga County Executive Ryan McMahon is waiting for Governor Hochul to approve this funding.
And this weekend, locals showed support for Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaigns. People walked the streets of downtown Syracuse, encouraging eligible voters to vote Democratic. Some of the signs read, quote, "Put a woman in charge," and, quote, "Dictator or democracy, that is the choice."
Well, Election Day is just over 2 weeks away, and Syracuse.com reports today that Congressman Brandon Williams is the, quote, "clear underdog in the race for Congress."
In recent months, he's been moving towards the center and distancing himself from some of his past positions, including his position on abortion access. Our political anchor, Luke Gradle, has the receipts, as he always does. Hey, Luke.
Max J, good evening. As Democrats call him a, quote, MAGA extremist who wants to ban abortion in New York, end quote, his campaign has called those claims garbage. But 2 years ago, Williams was hardly shy about his views on New York's current abortion access. Take a listen.
V. Wade gets overturned, which I expect. We're going to be in 50 states that are experimenting on where those boundaries are and what people really want. Nothing's going to change in New York, unfortunately, but we're going to see that play out.
Now, in a statement to Citrus TV News, the Congressman's Chief of Staff, Taylor Winans, says in part, quote, "New York's abortion laws are some of the most permissive in the country, and Rep. Williams has never shied away from his personal stance on the issue." But let's pause right there, because that line from Winans is questionable, given my interview with Williams earlier this month. Do you believe that the abortion laws on the books in New York State should be changed, and do you want to see more restrictive access here in New York?
That's for the voters of New York State to decide. That's what the whole court case was about.
You don't have an opinion on whether there should be more or less access to abortion in New York?
Doesn't matter what my opinion is. I've stated my position, and what I'll do is
I care about your opinion.
Congress.
All right.
I appreciate that.
All right. When I asked Williams for his personal stance on New York's abortion laws, he, shies away from answering. But he wasn't always this shy. 2 years ago, when he was running in a Republican primary, Williams outlined his support for a near-total ban on abortion.
But I am pro-life, and I believe life begins at conception. And I think science actually backs that up. The way that I think about abortion is that there is one person who has a choice and has a voice, and there is another that neither has choice nor voice. We have to represent that person.
So if I'm not understanding, you would support exceptions in some cases? This one doesn't.
Very rare cases.
So you can see he tells the Syracuse Post-Standard he only supports, quote, very rare exceptions for victims of rape, incest, or to save the life of the mother. And it's a position his campaign maintains that he still holds today, but in recent weeks he's been a little shy about expressing it. But whatever you think about abortion, you deserve to know what these candidates believe, beyond the cleverly crafted commercials and those carefully coached talking points. And if you're interested, I've also done some extensive reporting on Democrat John Mannion's abortion views, because we're always trying to keep the focus on the facts, guys.
Thanks for reporting tonight. Coming up on News Live at 6, new details on singer and songwriter Liam Payne's death. More on what his autopsy report revealed.
And just 15 days out from Election Day, the candidates are visiting the swing states. See what they had to say.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're watching Citrus TV News, live at 6, with Jake Morel, Max Williams, and Isabella Galan. Now, your campus news leader continues.
Welcome back, everyone. Following Liam Payne's death last week, a toxicology test found that the artist had multiple substances in his system when he fell to his death. The test found pink cocaine, which is a drug that is usually a mix of ketamine, methamphetamine, and MDMA. Sources say that Payne's body will remain in Argentina until the full autopsy is complete.
And jury selection began today for the criminal trial for the man charged in the New York City subway chokehold death. U.S. Marine Corps veteran Daniel Penny is accused of recklessly causing the death of a 30-year-old street performer last year.
Yeah, and Penny has pleaded not guilty, and neither him or his lawyers commented upon their arrival to court today. He will face up to 15 years in prison if convicted of second-degree manslaughter and up to 4 years if convicted of criminal negligent homicide.
Vice President Kamala Harris is trying to move anti-Trump Republicans out to the polls, but with Election Day 2 weeks away, both her and Trump have events planned for the swing states later this week. And for Harris, well, she already visited 3 of them today.
Yeah, Harris is having conversations with former Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney in the battleground states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. The suburban counties she is targeting were previously won by Nikki Haley in the primaries.
And put the fries in the bag, Mr. President. Former President Trump worked briefly at McDonald's yesterday in the swing state of Pennsylvania and used it as a way to bash his opponent. Trump served people through the drive-through lane and took questions from reporters about whether he would accept the results of the 2024 election. Could you imagine pulling up to get your Happy Meal and Donald Trump leans out and he's, you know, hey, Max. Yeah.
I feel like I was dreaming.
I could not imagine. Sorry, it's just, what a campaign move.
Well, despite the visit, the fast food giant is trying to stay neutral in the presidential race. McDonald's does not endorse candidates for elected office and will remain that way for the upcoming election as well.
And Governor Tim Walz said Donald Trump is, quote, spiraling down and unhinged after being asked on The View about the former president's recent commentary. Walz also mentioned how Trump's comments stand in contrast to the vision of the Harris campaign. Walz's appearance follows Vice President Harris's interview on The View earlier this month.
And when we come back, I will have your 5-day forecast. Stay with us.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
STEM is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
From the Citrus TV Weather Center, this is SU's most accurate weather forecast.
Welcome back into News Live at 6. I have your 5-day forecast. Like I said before, it's going to be a pretty good week, if I do say so myself, especially tomorrow. We're going to be seeing 81 degrees as the highest temperature, so make sure you get a chance to go outside if you did not get to today. Wednesday and Saturday, we will be seeing some showers, but thankfully they won't be lasting all day, so it shouldn't interrupt plans too much since the weather is going to be still pretty nice temperatures. Thursday and Friday, some clouds, but again, nothing to really complain about after seeing how much rain and cloudy, gloomy skies that we had earlier last week. Now, looking back to last year, I wanted to see how the temperatures were shaping up. So, pretty much around the same temperatures in that 50 region as an average temperature. However, when it comes to the temperatures during the whole entire day, we are winning this year, which is great news for us. 73 degrees today in comparison to average last year of 52 degrees. So all I can say is we are doing pretty good weather-wise right now here in Syracuse, and let's hope it stays that way for a little while longer.
Coming up next in sports, well, we'll take a look at one of the New York teams that are currently battling it out in the postseason. The New York Mets had a big fair last night against the Dodgers in a winner-go-home game.
Jason, let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner!
Go. Excellent. Soccer is fun. Yeah, I saw you guys out there.
And now, your Citrus TV Sports Report.
The New York Mets have been on an amazing run, but did it end last night against the Dodgers? Welcome into sports. I'm Ian Nicholas. Everybody wants to see the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Yankees in the World Series, except for one team, the New York Mets, a team that was dead at the start of the season, 0-5, but behind a young core has rallied all the way to a Game 6 in the NLCS. It played out last night in Los Angeles. Let's see how it shook up between Los Angeles and New York. And, well, let's just say that this red-hot Dodgers offense stayed alive. And it wasn't necessarily Shohei Ohtani who stole the show. It was Tommy Edman, a midseason pickup, who drove in 4 runs on the game, 11 in this series. He was named the NLCS MVP, and the Dodgers rolled to a 10-5 victory, scoring over 45 runs in the 4-game set. And you could see the Dodgers going back to the World Series for the 4th time since 2017. Over on the other coast, the New York Liberty, 27 years as a franchise, looking for their first ever championship. This is Game 5 last night in Brooklyn against the Minnesota Lynx, and it goes to overtime. New York scores first in overtime, and they win 67-62, led by Syracuse native, Cicero North Syracuse graduate, Breanna Stewart. She wins her 3rd WNBA championship. The MVP was Jonquel Jones, the former Connecticut Sun star. So shout out to the New York Liberty in the W. Moving it back to Syracuse, though, Syracuse football back off a bye. They play what I would consider a rival, right? Pitt, that's a Northeast rivalry game. But head coach Fran Brown is new to this whole Syracuse rivalry thing. Fran, what do you think about the stakes of this one?
I think like whoever we play is a rival. Like everybody's a rival, right? Like whoever you play is a rival, in my opinion. I'm not sure if this is a rivalry game. I just know that we're gonna go play them. They're a good football team. It probably is a rival. I mean, they've been playing this is the 80th matchup.
All right, Coach. Well, just win the game, right? Improve to 6-1, take down a top 20 team. We'll go over to the Buffalo Bills here, who they were trying to improve to 5-2 on their season, and they ended up taking down the Titans 34-10. And guys, that was a pretty good weekend for them. Giants and Jets, not so much.
Yeah, Giants and Jets, not so much. My Bears were off this weekend. But what I do want to talk about with you, Ian, is how the NFC North has somehow become the gauntlet of death. I mean, they're 4-2 for like the first time since 2018. And somehow the NFC North is just like the best conference ever. They've had like the best start for a conference ever. And yesterday I see the Packers beat the Texans, and the Lions-Vikings game was close. So I'm a little worried, but I hope just all 4 teams make the playoffs and just dominate.
Unfortunately, there's going to be a little bit, I mean, this is a scary word to use when talking about sports, but they're going to eat each other, right? There's going to be a little cannibalism there.
I mean,
that's a metaphor.
It's Lions and Bears and Vikings
Packer, whatever a Packer is.
Packers, what a loser name.
You know, I'm not a big Caleb Williams guy, but you know what? I'll root for your Bears to have a little Cinderella story.
He's my goat. I'm going to pour honey on him. And I'm also going to send us to break when we come back. We'll have one last look at your wake-up weather.
They took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back into News Live at 6. When you wake up, you can expect some beautiful weather before going into the rest of your day. 55 degrees and perfectly clear skies, which is what I like to see on my morning hot girl walk. We all know that I love those. But when I was on my morning hot girl walk, this was a beautiful picture that I got to take outside. Look at that beautiful foliage. All these people walking to class, and I didn't see a single person that was upset today, and that all has to be due to the weather. So I'm excited for a great week ahead.
Love this warm weather. When I go on my hot girls walk, I just do it around like my neighborhood. Like I can never go on campus. I think I'm too embarrassed.
I like just doing a little hot girl walk wherever. I mean, whenever I can get it in, I do it. And you know, actually today is supposed to be peak foliage day in New York. So I got to do a little hot girl walking earlier. But that's all the time we have for you on News Live at 6 for this Monday. I'm Jake Morel.
Don't forget, you can follow us on X and Instagram at CitrusTV News. I'm Max Williams.